A new poll by Israel's Keshet TV reports that the Likud party, with Prime Minister Netanyahu at its head, would win 36 seats if the Knesset were to go to elections today. That's 6 more seats than they currently have. And joining me now to discuss these results are Amir Weitmann, the head of the Libertarian Caucus in the Likud, and Binyamin Lachkar from the Likud Central Committee. Thank you both very much for coming in.
Thank you.
So first of all, Binyamin, I'll actually start with you. What are your initial reactions to this poll? And, does it surprise you at all?
Not at all. I think the people see the results of the policy of the government. We have no unemployment, we have growth, we have the best foreign relations we ever had. Israel is in the best situation in all of its history. And so that's the first reason why people are very happy with Binyamin Netanyahu. He's a good prime minister. He's the best possible. And people like him because there is nobody who can do what he's doing now.
Well, it's also, you mentioned a lot of kind of favorability, and it's true. We just had a poll about 90% of Israelis reporting themselves as being very happy. But there's also kind of other polls that are suggesting, say, for example, the faith in the two-state solution or in a peace plan is at an all-time low among all parties. So, there are kind of differences here. But, Amir, let's go to you. What are your initial reactions, I suppose?
Well, first of all, I, of course, agree with Benjamin. There's no doubt that both the economic and security situation is the best that it has ever been in every single possible way we look at it. And therefore, people are, understandably enough, content and happy with the situation, with the lot. The country is stable, it's growing. Why should we change anything? In terms of the two-state solution, yes, that's another reason why people are in favor of Netanyahu, because people understand that all those policies that have been promoted by the left for the past however many years, 30, 40 years, have completely failed. And instead of accepting that they were wrong, the leftists carry on insisting on the same old failed policies, and therefore the Israeli public sees that these policies are not viable, and therefore people do not support them, and therefore people go with the alternative, which is the right wing, led by the Likud and Benjamin Netanyahu.
So, okay, again, you're mentioning maybe some other party heads and what the support for them might be. And according to the same poll, 33% by Keshet, 33%, about a third of respondents said that they really don't see another person who could replace viably Prime Minister Netanyahu. Now, do you see that more as support for Netanyahu or fear of the unknown?
Both. First, I think Benjamin Netanyahu is one of the brightest leaders in the world. I think I've seen almost nobody who is on the level of Benjamin Netanyahu in the world, also in Israel. There are some good people in politics in Israel, but he's by far above everybody for the moment. When we will have someone better than him, with pleasure, we'll replace him with someone better. But no, he's the best because he's very good and because he's by far above everybody else.
Well, I would like to add, some interesting statistic, because Americans like statistic, right? So some interesting statistic about that. The Facebook page of Benjamin Netanyahu has got well over 2 million likes. Now, his closest competitors is just a few 100,000 likes.
You can buy likes, though.
Well, I'm sure, but either he buys much better than all the others, sure, or more likely he doesn't buy them and people simply follow him because he's head and shoulders above pretty much everybody else, as Binyamin said, not only in Israel, but probably in the world. But certainly in Israel, we do not see anybody, being even close, remotely close to his abilities, to his rhetorical abilities, political abilities. As far as I can see, barring some terrible legal issues or whatever, he's here to stay not only in the next elections, but probably even longer than that.
All right, so, again, since we're mentioning other viable options, things like that, Gideon Sa'ar and Yair Lapid, their names came up as maybe the second most popular potential candidates to lead the country. What do you think a country under their leadership would look like, and how likely would that ever be to come to pass?
God forbid. That's what I think most people would say.
God forbid. Gideon Sa'ar is a very competent man. I know personally. I don't think he's ready to be prime minister. We need to see him as a minister a few more years to judge him better and know what his capabilities are. It will not be like with Prime Minister Netanyahu, but he's a capable man. I mean, he's one of the main contenders to replace Netanyahu in many years. There is also Keshet from the Beit Yehudi. There are a few others. We'll see. We have a lot of time. Maybe someone new will come also. It will be, as Amir said, we have many years with Netanyahu still before us, so we have time.
All right, well, so another question, you mentioned Keshet, the Justice Minister. She mentioned that kind of like this double-edged sword situation about how if the more popular Likud becomes, the more dangerous it actually is for the country, and that the last time the Likud had over 40 seats, we pulled out of Gaza in 2005. So she's kind of warning that a very powerful Likud will tend to make a coalition with more central or left-wing parties instead of the right-wing parties. Would you agree with that?
Well, first of all, time will tell. What happened in 2003 was not linked to the Likud as a party, but was linked specifically to Ariel Sharon as Prime Minister. We have to remember that Ariel Sharon went to the Hitnatkut, to the disengagement program, because he was himself entangled in legal problems, serious legal problems, and he kind of tried to find a way out of those problems by going through some sort of a corrupt big program, and he succeeded because the legal establishment essentially went with him and shut down all the legal proceedings against him. But concerning Binyamin Netanyahu, I don't see him, frankly, doing anything remotely close to that. And where also, I don't think there is where to pull out anymore, because we've pulled out already of Gaza. So where are we going to pull out from? From Jerusalem? I don't think there is anything on the table that is realistic. And Benjamin Netanyahu has shown over the years that he's a very prudent man, that he's very careful. I don't believe he's going to go for for any radical program. So I don't see anything like that coming.
And you don't see, again, with this poll mentioning that some of the religious parties, United Toward Judaism, Shas, etc., Beit Yehudi, they lost seats in this poll. How do you reflect on that? What does that say to you about maybe some of the policies that have been enacted in the last few months? And kind of
first, it's a poll, and we know that polls are not really reliable. We need to see the real results. Usually, Shas, for example, does better in reality than in the polls. We'll see. I think Shas in particular is going down because under the leadership of Aryeh Deri, it's not the same party. Aryeh Deri is a corrupt man.
He came out of prison for corruption and then resumed his position.
He's a left-winger. He's not in phase with his own electorate. And I think this party has no reason to exist, in fact. And I hope in the future it will disappear.
All right. Well, I guess we'll have to take that as the end, saying that it is a poll, and we have to take all the results with a grain of salt. And we'll see how it actually ends up in elections, I think, in 2019.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Binyamin, Amir, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much.